What is going on, NBA draft fans? My name is Corey Tulaba, the NBA draft dude, and welcome to Film Sesh. Film Sesh Live. We're doing Film Sesh a little bit different tonight. Instead of coming out with a scouting video, I am going to break down film live. If you have questions, I want you to interact in the chat. So I want this to feel like a real cohesive, collective community type scouting video. I don't know how long we're going to be here. Maybe we're here for 15 minutes. Maybe we're here for 30 minutes. Maybe we're here for an hour. I don't know. It's I've never done this before. It's the first one, so I'm very excited. So in a minute, let's get into some Jaden Ivey. All right. The first thing I want to talk about with Jaden Ivey, and I think it's the thing that, you know, he's most known for in this draft, is his athleticism, right? I mean, he does some stuff athletically that is just unlike any other prospect in this draft. At least, I think, you know, in the lottery from the guard spot. I mean, the explosiveness that he consistently shows is true top tier NBA level stuff. So, I mean, the ability here to come off the screen, nothing happens, and then in an isolation situation, just use a couple of dribbles, bang, just putting it down on his head, right? He's got the head tap there. The athleticism is wild. So that's one example. Then, you know, here against Rutgers, we see it again. Just out of nowhere, shot out of a cannon, bang, right on you, and then wait for it. Here it is, the stare at the camera. I mean, the kid's athleticism, just absolute top tier stuff. But what I like about Ivey's athleticism, while he does have that above the rim dunk type stuff, he's also got it on the other end as well. So you see here, a little strip, and then bang, swats it out of nowhere, man. He swats it out of nowhere. I love this athleticism, and it shows in transition. It doesn't always show in the half court defensively, but just pin down stuff. I mean, that looks like you're at a completely different sport, you know, between Ivey and the rest of the guys. They're playing in two completely separate leagues as far as his athleticism goes. So I just wanted to touch on that quick and get it out of the way, because that's something that I think everybody kind of sees in him as a top tier prospect. It's the number one thing that I think stands out about him. But and where does it manifest? It manifests a lot in transition, right? So I think that this clip right here, there he is. In transition, shows that while he's got that athleticism, I think he's mastering the body control. He's going full speed here, and we'll see in a little bit. Sometimes his decision making could be a little shoddy. Sometimes he does get a little out of control, specifically in the half court. But here, when he can kind of see what's going on, look at this. Beats everybody down the court. He's got one, slides in to take the charge, and just right at the last second, he moves right out of the way there. Let's see. Rewind it back. Boom, right there. Change of direction really quickly. That's big time stuff right there. So he shows it there in transition, but he doesn't necessarily need the ball in his hands in transition either, and that's something that I like about Jaden as well, is that this is a guy who you can get it on the wing, run, fill lanes, and then boom, you see the athleticism again there. So when we play that back, you see that this is a guy, when you start saying, does he need the ball in his hands? I think you'll start seeing more and more that he shows some stuff from time to time that allows you to not play him as a full-on on-ball role. But sticking to transition here, because he's not just, you know, and there, the little defense. What I like about a transition, this is where you see some of the point guard stuff, I think, or the more like primary, the more primary stuff from him. This was one of his best sequences in the entire college season, and it showed how quickly he could impact a game and just make a decision. So in a tie game, second half, he totally swung the game in a couple of different possessions right here. But look at what he does with a little bit of space. Gets downhill, and look at that pass. Cross court, reads the wing lifting up, knocks down a three. You don't see a ton of it in the half court, and we'll get to the playmaking later on. You don't see a ton of it, but in transition, when things are more open like maybe an NBA floor might be, you see a little bit of playmaking opportunity. So this possession kind of kick-started a really impressive string for him where he makes the high-level read, and then the next time down, which we'll see here, Purdue gets a stop, and again, he's off to the races, coming down. This time, sees the opposite weak side corner, knockdown. All of a sudden, 6-point game. Next possession, I won't show because we're covering the playmaking here. But he has another nice possession after this where he shows off some of that playmaking or that scoring ability to go with the playmaking. So last playmaking clip, I got two more playmaking clips in transition. But just to see how much pressure everybody has. Look at how many people have their eyes on him in this clip. All right, let's rewind it back and hit the pause button when he gets downhill. Right here, everybody is sunken in on Jaden Ivey. Eyes everywhere. So this is not a high-level read by any means, but he knows where his shooter is. He knows that he's drawn the attention of the team, and he just makes the simple kick to the corner. And that unselfishness in transition, I think, is important for him. And I love the vision that he's shown in transition comparatively to the half court. Okay.
Purdue.
So this is more like semi-transition, but again, you see him make a nice kick out to the weak side corner. There's space, there's room for him to attack. And I think this is, again, more of what you'll see in the NBA level when there's a little bit more spaking, little secondary break, closeout, defense collapses, weak side hit, bang, knockdown. So that's kind of what you'd expect from Jaden in transition regarding his athleticism and then some of the playmaking. Appreciate everybody watching live. Let's hit the comments. Jaden Sofer, do you think his decision making on drives is as bad as some make it out to be? I definitely think he needs to improve his decision making on drives for sure. I think that's something that I'm going to cover in a little bit in the half court because sometimes he can get a little bit out of control, but I'll expand. Fritz Alcindor, combo guard, point guard, or shooting guard? I think he's a combo. I think if you're relying on him to be your strictly primary playmaker, it's probably not going to be, it's not going to work out, especially early on. And shooting guard, I think you could play him primarily as a shooting guard and not really rely on him as a playmaker at all. But I do think he has some playmaking chops. So I do think there's going to be opportunities for him to run some of the offense. And then Mr. Ray says Jaden is going to look great playing next to Cade for the next decade. I think that's one of the best situations for Jaden because it's going to allow him to not have to make every single decision. And when we get into the playmaking in a little bit, you'll see why I think that's important. But the scoring is what is going to, he's going to hang his hat on. That's what he's going to make his name on. And I think it's going to start with his ability to pressure the rim here. So, as we see, look at that cross, and then right to the rim. I mean, it happens so quickly out on an island, and again, come back, NBA spacing. I mean, look at this. Goes away from the screen, and just two dribbles, he's at the rim out of nowhere, and nobody can recover fast enough to kind of deter him from getting there. And Michigan's got Diabate there, so that's just a really impressive play from Jaden Ivey, and it shows like what kind of explosion he's got, even when he doesn't have that head of steam that you're kind of that you see in transition. So, but I want you to pay attention to some of these rim attacks because that first one, you see what side he finishes on. Okay, now let's look at this. This is kind of maybe some of the things he needs to improve on as a rim attacker. Little bit out of control. And what I don't want him to see him do is avoid contact. I want him to be at like 8 or 9 free throw attempts a game. And right here, he sees the help coming over, right? He sees Keegan coming over. And he just bails out and just throws up some junk, hopes the refs are going to give him a call. And the refs are just not going to make that call for him. He's got to go in strong and try to draw contact. Now, he drew, he was at the line almost 6 times a game. So that's not nothing. That's a good start. But with his athleticism and the fact that he can, put so much pressure on the rim, I think he's got to get there more than that at the NBA level. I think he's got to aim to be at, the 8 or 9 a game. But again, you notice, look at what side he tries to go back to. He tries to go back to that right side. That's kind of what he does. And, when we talk about what it's going to look like for him drawing fouls and why it's important for him to put pressure. I mean, look at him split the defense. And now look at this attack. He's not bailing out. He goes up strong. He's going up super strong here. And he's trying to put it down on somebody's head. I mean, just splits the screen, bang. I mean, that's an unbelievably impressive play. And he didn't even complete the dunk, right? Just splits it and goes up. So he's got to be a guy who could draw contact because he can truly get to his spots whenever. And the NBA, again, spacing, right? He's going to have so many opportunities to show that off. So again, doesn't bail out, goes into the contact, gets the whistle, gets the free throws. That's what you want to see from him. That's what you want to see. He can do it really whenever he wants. It's up to him as far as how he's going to attack the hoop. Is he going to go into the contact? Is he going to bail out? But, these athletic guys, they can't only drive to the rim and look for contact. They need a little bit of craft in their game. Jaden's no different. He needs a little bit of craft in his game. So you need that floater. You need that float game, right? And this is what it looks like. This is why it's important for him to have it. He's going to come off, sees a big, and just drop it in. That's a big time play. That's playing at different speeds. Doesn't need to explode. Slows down. Little teardrop. That's what we want to see from Jaden as far as that float game. I do think, though, that's going to come with time. That whole in-between area is something that he really needs to work on. So right here, right, falling away, just back rims it. I think that floater, it's nice that he can get to the spot, and that's what you want to see in a draft prospect. These guys aren't finished products, right? So you just want to see, can they get to his spot? Recognizes. Now, is that shot the best shot he could have gotten? Probably not. Is it the best shot he could have got for his teammates? Probably not, right? Strong side help, kind of goes to dig. That's probably a kick to a shooter at the NBA level. He doesn't need to force this. That's something he's got to work on. But, it's a shot that I'm willing to live with, and I think, is important for him to kind of get in his bag. So again, I'll live with this shot, even if, he's missing some reads here and there. And that's something, again, this is why he's not necessarily going to be a guy who I would rely on as a point guard. But sticking to his scoring, let's kind of look at him as a shooter, because I think people are going to think that shooting is something that is a weakness. And while I don't necessarily know if it's a strength, I do think that he can shoot the ball in a variety of ways. So, first off, just playing off ball, if he goes and plays with a guy like Cade, if he plays with a guy, like Davion and De'Aaron Fox, he can knock down the shots off the catch. And I think that's where he's going to be most efficient, right? So just swing, ready, and this is pretty good range here. That's almost from the logo. That's legit. That's legit range right there from Jaden. So he could shoot it off the catch, just in a standstill, spotting up. You could put him in the corners. You could put him up top. You could put him on the wing. You could put him wherever, and you could feel confident that he's got a nice enough shot that he's going to knock it down, holds his follow through there. Pay attention to that. But he can also shoot it off movement. And I think that's one of the things that I really like about him potentially going to, one of these teams that has primary ball handlers. It's that he's not just going to be a guy that you have to have him spot up and not be involved in the action. This is a guy who, watch this possession. I mean, he's running one side of the floor to the next, quick, balanced, knocked down. Caleb Love chasing him. Not a stiff athletically. That's a tough shot that he knocks down with confidence in rhythm. I mean, you can envision that. You can envision that playing off of Cade. You can envision him playing off of Halliburton, off of Fox, in these scenarios. That's a big time shot. And so he can run off screens, he can shoot it off the catch, and then he can play off handoff. So if we're talking about Sacramento, if we're talking about Sacramento, this is some Sabonis action coming off, puts it on the floor, but confident knockdown. That's a really tough shot. That's a high level shot coming off movement, shooting it confidently from deep range. That's NBA level stuff, man. That's NBA level stuff that you're seeing there. And again, I can envision that 2-man game between Sabonis there coming off these little DHOs, which is something that we'll see more of in a little bit. Another little action that I think is NBA level stuff. Just quick decisions, stops on a dime, and hits a tough shot. So we run that back. He's going to come off it quick, act like he's coming off the handoff, gets a little pitch, knockdown. Again, you can see that shot with Domantas Sabonis in Sacramento. You could see it if, let's say Indiana with some of their big. You could see this with any NBA action. Like that's a Bam Adebayo in Miami type stuff with Duncan Robinson. I mean, that's fun stuff. So he could shoot it off that. And then he's got the isolation game too. Right. So this is what he's known for. So a little combo move, little step back, knockdown, hand in his face. Big time shot. Big time shot. Creates the space he needs. All these guys need is a little bit of space. And what makes this such a hard shot to defend is, as we just watched him attack, he's devastating getting downhill, right? So you got to give him a little bit of space initially already. You kind of have to bite on those drives. This maybe is a shot that you want to give up to him, but he's proven that this year that he was able to knock those down with some consistency. Now, one of the things that he's got to improve on as a shooter is his shot selection, and he doesn't always hold his follow through. So we look here, 26 seconds left in the shot clock. Just dribbles in. You don't need that shot right there. You just don't need that shot. That early in the shot clock, you're down 8. You don't need to get it back all at once. Nobody else touches the ball on this possession. You don't use the screen. You don't try to get downhill. You don't pressure the rim. You're bailing out the defense with these kinds of shots. You can't settle for that. And as a coach, you got to drill it in his head. Like, you're too good to settle for this shot. You're too good to, I don't care how much space. That's too easy for the defense. They rest and they get the ball back. It's slightly better than a turnover shooting that shot. Now, the other thing that he's got to work on, besides the shot selection as a shooter, is he snake bites his shots. Now, this is, again, there's over 20 seconds in the shot clock. You watch him dribble in. He dribbles in with no plan. This is going to be a theme. Steps back behind the three-point line, takes a contested shot, but let's watch his follow-through. A little choppy there, but he snake bites it. So instead of holding his follow-through, it's a quick little flick of the wrist, and he's got to hold that. This has got to be a shot where he's actually holding his follow through. That gets him in trouble. But the shot selection is something that he really has to work on as a primary guy, learning that when do I take over? When do I get my shots? How do I keep the defense honest? And when do I attack downhill? Now, let's talk about his mid-range game, because this is something I'm probably a little bit more optimistic on than other people might be. I think that while he struggled in the mid-range, I think that he's shown good process getting the mid-range shot. I think the shot looks pretty good. I mean, that's a tough shot that you need in your bag in the playoffs. When things get hard, you need your ball handlers to hit these kind of shots, highly contested, steps back, looks comfortable doing it. Again, there's a lot of time on the shot clock. The defense, he draws the defense in. He probably could have gotten a better look at this point of the game, but that's a shot that he needs to have in his bag down the line. But you have to find that balance, right? That shot selection it's going to be important for him to figure out when is a good time to shoot those shots and when is a bad time. I mean, this is a tough shot. It almost drops. It's similar to the one we just saw, but he's got to look. He's got a better, if he just has his eyes up and he's seeing the full court, he's got multiple guys that he can kick to that are going to have better looks than him. He's going to have probably Stefanovic lifting a little bit. If he takes one more dribble in, he's got his man floating to the wing / corner there. And he settles for just a tough look. So that's going back to the shot selection there. And this time from the mid range. But I think that he's shown a lot of good stuff. Now let's talk about the pick and roll, because the NBA is a very pick and roll heavy league. And if you're putting the ball in his hands, I think you want to see him operate out of that pick and roll. So again, let's go through all of his strengths here and what he can offer on this side. Let's see him get downhill off the screen. Zach Edey, just a huge dude, allows him that opportunity to get downhill. You put that body on college players, it's a wrap. I watched them in person behind the bench. He looks like an alien, how big he is. And he moves well for a guy his size. It's pretty impressive. But again, he gets downhill to that right hand. He's got to work on getting to his left, because NBA team defenses are really good and they'll start taking away his strengths. And he's going to have to work on some counters, getting back to the finishing with the left. He's got to be multidimensional. He can't just be a guy who's going right. That's really hard. So he's got the rim attack down. Now let's see the in-between stuff coming off the pick and roll. See the in-between stuff. This comes off, misses the shot, but that's a good look. And now he probably could have gotten deeper. He probably could have attacked, but there's nobody close to him. And again, he probably should have attacked the rim, but I'll live with a pull-up from dead center at the free throw line. I think that's a high percentage look, but pulls his hand away, kind of fading. But that's a shot that I think that he's going to have to bury, especially against, teams that are playing in drop. He's going to have to make guys, punish guys. This is a shot that I think Jaylen Brown has gotten pretty good at, you see in the finals. So that's a shot that, all right, he misses it, but I think the process is okay. Again, could he attacked the rim and gotten to the free throw line? Absolutely. But I think it looked good. Now let's see the snake, because I think that I really like his ability to snake these screens. Again, he tries to get back to the right, but knockdown. He snake bites it, and again, we want him to hold that follow through. So you see, even on makes, the process might not be great, but just look at him. Comes off, nice and patient, makes the big play a little cat and mouse, knocks it down, middle of the free throw line, right? That's what it looks like when it goes well. So that's a tough thing for guards and bigs to cover together. Now, let's look at, again, another drop scenario for the big.
He really changed the game to start coming out of halftime.
So Ivey attacks downhill. Jaden Ivey. So Ivey attacks downhill here. He gets the bucket. He's putting a lot of pressure. You see how hard it is for immobile bigs to cover him. Look, this guy's got no shot of staying in front of Ivey, right? But I want him to blow by and finish with that left hand. I want him to finish with the left here. He has to go back to the right. He has to go for that little up and under. He's not confident enough right now as a left-handed finisher to go up strong with his left and either finish before the big gets there, or that big is too slow. He's going to foul Ivey here. If he just goes strong with the left, he's going to get a foul or he's going to get a layup. Instead, he tries to bring it back, still gets the play, still finishes it, but I want to see him connect with that left hand a little bit more often. So let's talk about now a little bit more of the playmaking. We saw the playmaking in transition, and that's where I think he really shows some really strong vision and what you get excited about and what maybe you project forward, because you saw guys like Anthony Edwards show off a little bit better vision in transition. There's more space, defenders aren't set, so maybe it's a little bit more where you could see some of the NBA stuff versus college, which is a little bit more compact. So let's get into what he looks like with a roll man. So again, Zach Edey is just a monster.
That's good.
He's a monster. But that's just a nice, simple action. He gets downhill, patient, uses the screen. The big's got to come and come at him, and he puts the big in a bad position. The big's got to play cat and mouse, and all he does is guard the cat. All he's doing is guarding Jaden Ivey. That's wide open. That's perfectly ran, simple basketball. You don't have to run a million crazy actions. You're just getting a nice, easy pick and roll there. Now, let's look at a nice lob. Again, maybe Edey's a little bit more ground bound, but at the NBA level, that could be a guy like Clint Capella. So where he's not bringing it down, he's just going to go up and come off this screen. He's rolling, and he's just going to yam that. That's going to be right at the hoop. So you could see Ivey playing with a roll man as well. Just a guy who's above the rim, Onyeka Okongwu, guy like that, who could just finish as a lob threat. And we'll look at one more this time in semi-transition, but we're still coming off a ball screen. Guy's not completely set, comes off, and just throws a nice soft lob. Again, that's NBA level stuff out of basic pick and roll sets. But we talked about Ivey out of DHOs a little bit earlier, right? And this is Ivey coming out of the DHOs. Comes off, a little double stagger, kicks it back to the wing. That's NBA action right there. And again, he's starting off the ball. He doesn't need to start with the ball in his hands, right? Little double stagger, little kickback, knockdown. That's something that you're going to see every NBA team run. That's what, and you saw him, able to kind of run those same sets comfortably out of these DHOs. Coming out of a DHO again. Same little double stagger. This time he splits it and a little drop off to Trevion Williams. And Trevion Williams, a little ground bound. Love Trevion Williams as well. This is, one of my sleeper guys later in the draft. But here he is, weak side corner, comes off the stagger, splits it, drop off. That's beautiful, quick decision type stuff there from Mr. Ivey, which you absolutely love to see and makes him a little bit less predictable, right? Okay. Now, let's kind of look at the areas as a playmaker where Ivey kind of needs to improve. I think the first thing he does all the time, all right, is he buries himself. He really, he just drives without a plan, right? What's he doing here? He kind of gets bailed out, knocked down. It works out in the end, but he's just driving into the paint, trying to use his speed, doesn't attack, just plants, kills the dribble, and gets lucky that one of his teammates moves and he's able to, get a good look out of it. But it's a consistent theme with him, this decision-making in route to the hoop. He just is always burying himself, this time from the wing, gets caught, stops the ball, gives it to Edey, just happened to be there. Again, they finish it, but, that's tough decision-making, getting stuck on that baseline there, getting cut off, doesn't keep his dribble, doesn't back it out, doesn't Nash dribble it and keep it going. I mean, it's a crowded paint there. But again, this is just a consistent theme from Ivey.
But it would be interesting.
Again here, comes to the middle. Just 5 guys on him. Again, he gets a clean kick out, but he's just driving in to exactly where the defense is. It's so cluttered. He's got no idea what's going on there. And he's able to make, a nice little improvisational pass there, but that's going to be an issue at the NBA level, especially early on. NBA defenses are just, imagine him right now against Boston's defense. He's going to have 8 turnovers a game if he's a lead ball handler. So let's now look at some of his actual turnovers. Okay. Sometimes, and this is something that he's going to get better on as his game matures, as he learns to hone his speed and use it as a weapon instead of a deterrent. He goes too fast for his own good sometimes. I mean, look, he just loses control of the ball. He's just going too fast. He doesn't know how to control. This reminds me of like early Zach LaVine. A lot of people compare him to Ja, and I think there are some similarities as a scorer, but he's nowhere close to the decision maker, the playmaker. But so there's some early Zach LaVine flashes from him too. And you see like the youthful, and this happens a lot. He'll just lose the ball, dribble it off his foot, just doesn't always have control, doesn't have the ball on a string necessarily. So he's got to tighten that up and improve it. Sometimes he's just out of control. And so he gets downhill here, right? Crowded paint. And Diabate he's just waiting there. Like he's just waiting in the paint for Ivey to come. And look how long he's set. I mean, that's an easy call. That's an easy call. And the NBA refs, they are calling everything, man. There are so many charge calls. They're gonna love to call this a charge. So he gets out of control. Now let's look at his passing. Now Ivey's not making a lot of turnovers with like crazy out of control cross court stuff. He doesn't have the vision necessarily to make those passes yet. Unless he's in transition. So that's where he doesn't have that. But he is making some sloppy telegraphed looks that are leading to turnovers, especially later in the year when he was running a little bit more often. I mean, NBA length, and St. Peter's had some lengthy guys in the tournament, but guys with NBA length at the next level, these are going to be turnovers. He knows what he's doing the whole time. No matter what, he's throwing that to Trevion. He locked eyes, and even though there are guys in his passing lane, he's still trying to fit that ball in. And that's a no-go. I don't, that's just a bad decision, right? And it's late shot clock. it's late shot clock at the same time. So the decision making there, like he should be looking to get a shot for himself or make a kick to someone else. But that Trevion pass, it's telegraphed, just doesn't work. Bad decision against some pretty good length. Now, this is just a little sloppy for me. Against Northwestern, just a left-handed live dribble. I don't even know why why is he looking at Zach Edey there? Again, sometimes as a playmaker, when he gets an idea in his head, he has to pass it to that player. And it's just a bad pass overall. But look at, there are so many guys that are going to close off Edey right here. It's not like this is open space. This isn't a Draymond short roll situation. This is a bunch of guys that would have closed off that space for him. And as he comes off, wide open here. If you're going to make a live dribble left-handed hit your shooter here. Shooter here as well on the wing and in the corner. There are two shooters wide open. But at the NBA level, you have to get rid of the ball early. Teams want quick decisions. They don't want you to over dribble. And he just has his mind set on getting that ball to Zach Edey there. And when you got a guy that tall, throw it up high. If you're going to give him a little lob pass, if anything, that only he's going to be able to get to. But that was directly to the Northwestern guards. So these are things that he has to improve on. This is why he's not, he might be the number one pick. There's a chance, right? He could go number one overall, but I think that he's going to, if things go chalk and he goes 4, this is why he hasn't been a consensus top 3 guy, because he definitely has some things that he needs to work on that side of the ball. So now let's get into the defense a little bit. And I like his defense. I think that his on-ball stuff is pretty encouraging. I think that the on-ball stuff, he gives good effort.
5 to shoot.
Sessum's off the bounds. Rejected by Ivey.
That's a big-time play. That's big time. Now, a little sloppy. Doesn't necessarily see ball in man. That closeout, his feet are dancing right here. But he's so athletic, especially at the college level. Plays defense with his chest here and just swats it, right? This is really fun stuff. Again, a little sloppy, but recovers, plays with his chest, block. And you love to see that. That's big time defense. And I think that he does take defense personally one-on-one. And there are times where he can get a little lazy, like most guys who are number one options. But I think he shows a lot of good stuff. Again here, forces Penn State into a really tough shot at a pivotal moment of the game. Purdue's only up 6, less than 30 on the clock. They need to get a good shot off here at Penn State, and Ivey stops dribble penetration and just gets a good contest. That's a tough shot. That's a tough shot for these guys to hit with an athlete like Ivey. Again, he doesn't have perfect form there, but he's giving effort. He's trying to make a play on the ball. And then one more. Playing with his chest, beating him, shadowing him at every direction, setting the tone from the jump. You try to set the tone from the jump, just in his shit, making guys uncomfortable. That's defense, man. You got to make guys uncomfortable. And he's giving effort and forcing guys into a tough shot. You absolutely love to see this one-on-one, guys who are going to give a shit. That's the number one thing. You could teach defense, but you can't necessarily teach effort all the time. And Ivey, I think, is pretty consistently shown me that he's going to give effort. Johnny Davis here. That's a tough shot. Johnny Davis settles for a lot of tough shots. That Wisconsin offense was not the best, but on an island with Johnny Davis, beats him to the spot, strong contest. So I'm pretty high on Ivey being able to use his tools, being able to use his length and his strength to become a pretty good on-ball defender. Now, something that does happen to him when it comes to pick and rolls is that he gets stuck. He gets stuck on screens a little bit, and for somebody that athletic, that strong, I think he's got to do a better job anticipating the screens and fighting through and fighting over, because he just gets plastered so often. And I don't know if it was something that had to do with his bigs not calling them out early enough, but it was just a theme that I saw where he just got blasted by screens a bunch this season. And at the NBA level, you do that, and guys are going to make you pay if you do that too often. So you see here, I mean, he's got to do a better job fighting through that screen. This is not a big, strong guy that is setting this screen, especially when you compare it to the NBA level. I mean, just doesn't expect it. Tries to get back in the play. They get the board. It's not points on the board, but he's got to anticipate. He's got to step over. That's something that guys like Davion Mitchell do so well. The best way to break up a pick and roll is to not let the pick and roll happen. Now, Davion, he's a little maybe quicker laterally. He's one of the better defensive guys that, as a prospect that we've seen in recent years. But that's something that, he's got to do a better job anticipating, because it's a constant theme, getting stuck. One more here. Doesn't get stuck on the first one, but gets stuck on the second. Leads to two from Rutgers the other way. So fighting through the screens, anticipating, and just doing a better job. Now, let's bring up the next clip. Another pick and roll set. I love this. That's effort. That's what it looks like. That's what it looks like. So he's going to go under this first one, come back, step over, doesn't even get hit, and now it's blown up, and now it's a tough shot for Texas there. That's what it looks like when you step over early. When, maybe Edey did a better job calling it out, saw it coming because it was a rescreen. But when you get over with his tools, you're going to force guys into some really tough shots. That's what that looks like when he's actually doing that. Now, this happens on ball, and it happens out of the pick and rolls. But our guy Jaden Ivey is a little jumpy. You throw a pump fake his way, and he will bite on it. So gets over the screen, does a good job, boop, jumps. 2 points. He's got to stay on his feet. This is something that hopefully can be taught at the next level with repetitions, but he just gets too often. You get him in the air. Little pump fake and one. I mean, think about Trae Young, think about Chris Paul, think about these guys, Kyle Lowry, these guys who bait fouls at the next level. I mean, you're not going to be much good to a team when you're on the bench because you're in foul trouble. So he's got to get more disciplined, not bite on pump fakes, so he's not getting in foul trouble here. A few more defensive clips, and that's going to be our film session on Jaden Ivey. Off ball, it's not great off ball. It's not great off ball. He has a lot of trouble, especially as a low man. The low man is something that is really important. It's going to be your last line of defense a lot of times, and this is kind of the awareness issue here. Now, you got an empty side pick and roll there. Jaden Ivey's the low man here. He's got to be in the paint. He's got to be in the paint, and this wing has got to be splitting the difference between the corner and the wing. But Jaden Ivey's got to be protecting the paint, because if not, little dump off, there's no deterrent at the rim. And it should be Jaden here. Head on his swivel, he's a little bit, but not enough, and too late of a reaction. Gotta rotate over. His positioning off ball as a low man is consistently not the best. So again here, late recovering as the low man, and and he should see this coming. He should see it coming. Just gives it up. Alley-oop. And again, these guys at the next level, that's going to be a poster. That's going to be a poster at the next level. You got to do a better job rotating over earlier. You have to, anticipate what's happening here. And again, you got to rely and trust your teammates that they're going to make the proper rotations when you help off your man. So last clip here, off ball. That's what it looks like when you rotate over. Now he gets called for a foul. He maybe is a little late. He should probably start cheating the paint. He should probably try to beat his man to the spot here. But this is what it looks like. Rotate over. Use that athleticism. Protect the rim. Like, that is a good rotation. That's a good contest at the rim. And that's what he needs to do at the next level defensively. And those are all the clips I got. 45 minutes. Thank you, everybody who sat here and watch me break down Jaden Ivey's film. I am still super high on Jaden Ivey's potential. I think that, if he goes to the right situation, he's going to be an absolute stud. He's going to be an awesome scorer. I like his defensive effort. I think he's going to be coachable. He's ridiculously athletic. And if a team develops him and is patient, they're going to get a steal. Look at Anthony Edwards and Jalen Green. It took them, until post All-Star break to finally feel comfortable as super athletic guys who had to think the game. I think Jaden Ivey's going to, fall similar to them in, the amount of time it takes for him to feel comfortable in the NBA, and especially if he's got the ball in his hands as a playmaker. So I think if he can go to a team, like Detroit, like Indiana, and maybe even, Sacramento, where he's not going to be the primary ball handler, Sabonis, Fox, Davion, they're going to be making most of the plays. Those are good situations for Jaden as far as his learning curve. I think that's going to help him a lot, but I think that you got to be patient regardless, because I think it takes time for guards to take to learn the game in this league. Devin Booker, Zach LaVine, two other guys that it took a long time for them to develop their playmaking. So if you go into this next season for Jaden and you're not expecting him to be Ja Morant, if you're expecting him to, be a guy who shows a ton of really awesome flashes, but isn't going to necessarily be a superstar from the jump, I think he's going to reward you. I think he's got all-star potential. Tops out and that playmaking comes along, he could be, an all-NBA player one day. But a really, 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 I think, impressive player is Jaden Ivey. So again, thank you for watching Film Sesh Live, the first live film sesh that we've done. I think we're going to do more of these. I already did 3 film sessions on Chet, Jabari, and Paulo. And this was the first one we did live. So we still have some other guys to hit. There's 10 days until draft night. If you go to No Ceilings TV and subscribe to that channel as well as my channel, if you haven't done that yet, subscribe to the NBA Draft Dude, then go to No Ceilings TV, subscribe there, because we're doing a live draft stream on draft night that is going to be a lot of fun. So please, come hang out with us. It's going to be fun. And until next time and our next prospect, we out. Peace.